So on April the 5th, 2018, Isao Takahata, one of the co-founders of Studio Ghibli, has passed on. And that makes me very upset because he was my favourite director out of all of the directors in Studio Ghibli, including Hayao Miyazaki. And I love Hayao Miyazaki's work. In fact, Studio Ghibli's work is some of the most beautiful pieces of animation I have ever seen, and they're so different to anything else in the world, especially animated films in the western side of the world. But to me, Isao Takahata makes the best kind because they cater to what I like in a film, really. So if you prefer Hayao Miyazaki films, that's great. I completely understand. But I have a very different taste to what other people like in film. In that the films I like, they're very quiet, they're quite real, they're real stories, and they're full of emotion, stuff I can relate to, stuff I really care about. Now, these sort of stories, they don't need to be told in animation. These sort of things can be told in live action easily. You don't need animation. And Isao Takahata is not an animator. He's a director and a writer, and he had a group of talented animators to help create these stories with him. But he made his stories in animation anyway because there's certain things that you can do in animation. There's certain emotions that you can convey in animation that you can't do in live action. If you create certain scenes in a lot of Isao Takahata's work in live action, they look rather silly, but in animation it just looks absolutely gorgeous and somewhat magical and beautiful. He didn't even do that many films. He did My Neighbor the Yamadas, Pampoko, Princess Kaguya, Grave of the Fireflies, and Only Yesterday. Those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main ones he did. And he did other things as well, but those are the Studio Ghibli films are what he's known for, the ones he directed and he made. And out of all of them, there's only one I haven't seen called My Neighbor the Yamadas. And I have a feeling that I'm going to like the film, but I don't think I'll like it as much as the other ones that I've already seen. So I'll give it a watch as soon as I can. But for the other ones I have seen, Pampoko, Princess Kaguya, etc., they're all very, very good. I do have my flaws with some of them, especially with Pampoko. And Princess Kaguya, it can be quite slow, even though it has beautiful animation and just a great atmosphere. And Grave of the Firefly seems to be everyone's favourite Isao Takahata film, and I can see why. It's very tragic, and the story is told so... I can't think of any other word to describe it other than just beautifully tragic. It's just amazing to watch. You're watching just the life of these two children. You're watching their last few years. And that's not a spoiler, that's what you're told at the very beginning of the film. And every time I watch it, every time I get a little bit older and a little bit more wise about film, I understand this film a little bit more. And it's just, not only gets more tragic, but it gets more delightful to watch. I don't know how that works. How do you balance those two out? But this Grave of the Fireflies does do that. However, that's not the film I want to talk about today. My favourite Isao Takahata film is Only Yesterday. One that I don't think people give enough credit for because it doesn't seem that special to begin with. It's basically the story of this woman looking back on her life and her childhood, essentially, of... I don't know how old she sees herself in the movie, but she's very young. She's a little girl. But that's the story, just this woman remembering her childhood at that specific age of girlhood and boys and periods, and it's so mundane, but the way it's told, it's just a lot more special than it should be. It's a live action story, just made better through animation, how it uses it. In some scenes, they use animation to its full advantage, and they just convey this emotion that I don't think I would have got if this movie was made in live action. There's two different styles of animation in Only Yesterday. The first one, the present day, where the woman is a grown woman, it's clean, clear, crisp animation, Ghibli animation. And then the animation where they show the past, when she's a little girl, it's a little bit more cartoony, it's a little more blurry and dreamish, like if the same way that you would see Memories. And it looks like a nice, simple watercolour painting, if you will. And you can't replicate those things in live action. It just looks so much better in animation. I think the main reason why this one is my favourite, though, is because it reminds me of similar things when I was a little girl. I have similar situations about periods and not quite sure what I want or what I want to do, or well, I don't think the situation of what you want to do comes up in this film the more I think about it, but just what you want. Like, do you want this thing? Do you want that thing? Should you ask your mum for this thing, or should you just leave her alone? Is it okay to not eat your food? Do you feel guilty about it, or you're like, yeah, whatever, I don't want to eat this food? Just simple childhood issues you have when you're a kid. They don't matter now. They did then, though. And other things about your first crush and all that, and how it makes you feel, and you think, oh my god, it's such an amazing feeling. That's how you feel when you first experience these things. And the period scene, that literally is just a whole section of the film dedicated to this little girl getting sexual education about periods and puberty, and the boys making fun of her. And it's pretty, when you're that age, it's really horrible when they do that, but it's just so innocent, you can't help but smile at how stupid it all is. And by the way, the period scene is the reason why Disney didn't do a English dub of it way back. They have to give it to somebody else. So, you know, Pompoko, that had a scene where the raccoons turn their testicles into whatever they want. Disney wanted to give that an English dub, but with Only Yesterday, with a scene with periods in it, no, Disney does not want that at all. Keep that away. Children do not need to know about lady things. But you know, this film is also still relatable in present day, not because of how I feel about the past, but because of now. Because the woman in the present day, as she's older, her name is Taiko. I keep calling her the woman. The character's name is Taiko. When Taiko is older, she is escaping to the country and experiencing a loss of childhood, and she sees these people, these farmers in the country, and she meets this character, this other guy who just loves what he does in the country, in the farm. And this guy has such a big passion for what he does, and Taiko sees that, and that's where the attraction comes in, because I also feel like that. To me, passion is a very attractive quality in somebody. So when I see that, I'm like, wow, this person is very interesting to talk to. I'm very happy I'm getting to know this person. This character doesn't even exist, but it's just great to listen to somebody so passionate about something. I love it. And clearly Taiko does as well, which is why there's an attraction there with her and the farmer guy. And also at the very end of the film, the song The Rose, I can't remember who originally sang it, but do you guys remember that song? At the end of the movie, a Japanese version of The Rose, it plays, and I really like that song because I remember that song being played during a school production I did back in primary school. I think it was Oliver Twist. And I don't know why The Rose was played during the production of Oliver Twist. My drama teacher had really weird ideas and they never went well. It looks so stupid, but you know, that song just completely reminds me back to my childhood, because that song was introduced to me in my childhood. So that also has a big connection with me. This movie may not be anybody else's favourite Isao Takahata or favourite Studio Ghibli movie, because this is my favourite Studio Ghibli movie, if you don't know as well, not just favourite Isao Takahata movie. It's because this film is just so personal to me. I love films that are very personal to me. And I wanted to explain that because I owe Isao Takahata a lot, because the way he writes films, the way he wants his films to be animated. I want to write realistic films, but I'm worried that a lot of people think that you might as well just do these films in live action, not animation, because it's not worth it. They're live action stories. But Isao Takahata showed that animation can be used for anything, any kind of story whatsoever. Fantastical to realistic, it doesn't matter. If you do it right, you can do it. And the way he writes his movies and directs his movies is the way that I want them to look as well. Well, not exactly look, I want them to have their own style, of course, but just that feeling, that atmospherical, personal emotional, realistic feeling with that nice animation spark added to it. Also, the movie has great scenes of food. This is a specific thing I like, but I like seeing food in animated movies look amazing. And Studio Ghibli, the food in their movies just always looks amazing. So when I see this nice juicy pineapple in Only Yesterday, I just salivate. But that's just another personal thing. At the end of the day, this movie, Only Yesterday, hits me hard, but in a very comforting way. It just gets me right in the feels in a very comforting, relaxing way, even though some of the things in that movie aren't so comforting and relaxing. It's just nice to know that somebody out there very scarily got these memories, these feelings right. But anyway, that's what I wanted to say. That's the movie I wanted to talk about, and I really recommend that everyone should go and watch this movie because it really is a different sort of experience to other animated movies that most people see, and it should get more recognition than it does now. So go and see Only Yesterday. Let me know what you think of it if you want to. It's your choice. I hope you like this speed draw I did as well. I don't really know what I'm doing with my art anymore. I like this style. Could be better, could be worse, but we'll see how that goes. And I'm very excited to experiment with more drawing styles because I really got back into drawing again. Thank you for your films, Isao Takahata. You will be deeply missed. And we hope your films can be just as recognised as the rest of Studio Ghibli's films in the future. Thank you.